In this exercise, we are going to do the split command. So, this is what the tree looks like. You can try it out before I demo it, but I'm just going to go ahead and demo it. I want you to name it split operation with your number here on the end. I don't care what you put. You can leave it -1. Okay, so let's create a new part. We'll go to generative wireframe and surfacing. I'll just work on the YZ plane and create a sketch. I'm going to do a spline. Make sure you don't lock up to the axis. Just trying to get some kind of general shape here. I'll hit escape after I've picked my constraints. I'm going to exit out. I'll pop into the ISO view. Under surface tab, we'll use extrude. I'll just go 10 inches, making it easy for me to work with. I'm going to rename this geometrical set top surface, and I'm going to create a new geometrical set. I meant to create a new geometrical set there. Oops, dang it. Solid construction. And I'm going to put a plate or a plane using wireframe. I'm going to put a plane on the XY plane. It's not a good idea to link to your XY plane. Create another plane and link to that. So I have that plane that I'm going to create a sketch in that part body. So on that plane, we'll go to sketch, select OK, normal to screen. Now you want to keep the rectangle inside the part. If I don't do that, I create this rectangle out here. I guess I should constrain it. I'm always telling you guys to. So let's auto constrain this. It's a rectangle. Just hit auto constrain. Back to the ISO view. I'm going to create a pad. So we are in the generative wireframe surface workbench. Can't do solids in wireframe and surface. We got to switch to part design if we want to make a solid. Now we can use the pad feature, and I'm just going to do a pad. Let's go 7 inches up and see what it looks like. Ooh, that might be a little high for what we're going to do right now. Let's just go 4 and see what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to select OK. So my surface is splitting through the solid. I'm going to use the transform tab. Under the transform tab, there's a feature called split. Under split, you grab the surface, and that arrow indicates which side of the solid you want to keep. So if I want to keep the solid on the bottom, I select OK, and it's going to give me an error message. I want you guys to make a picture of this error message and explain to me why you get the error message. I'll hit OK. I'll rotate this around. What it's trying to tell you is this solid has got a gap in here where there's no material to split. So as it goes up through here, there's nothing for it to keep down here on this side of the surface. The surface must split through the entire solid in order for that to cut the solid where the surface is. I can select OK all day long, and it's just going to keep telling me this until I finally give up and say, okay, let's cancel. So the problem is that this solid right now is not tall enough. If I change the solid to go up like 5 inches, it's like, okay, you can see now it looks like it has gone through that surface. So now when I do the transformation split, why do I still get that error? If you look at the surface going this direction, that surface has to literally go all the way past this part. I'll select OK, and I can continue to do that until I finally learn that you just got to cancel out. Okay. So a couple things I could do is, if the solid was really actually too long, you would go into the sketch for the solid and just change that number. Let's dial it back to, let's say, 10. I'll exit out. Oh, looks like it's still not poking through that side. Okay. Again, I'll go back to sketch. Let's do a top view of that, see what it looks like. I'll go 9 1/4. I should have went 9 1/2. I told myself to go 9 1/2. And we'll exit out. When I go into my ISO view, you can see that this surface now passes through the solid everywhere. It's a complete split. Okay. The other thing you could have done is you could have went to your extrude and modified your extrude to go 11 inches. And then that definitely would have enough surface splitting through that. It really doesn't matter if it's equally split on both sides, having it the equal edge distance. That's not relevant, just so long as it cuts through the entire solid. Alright, now I can use the split command. Why can't I find the split? Because I need to go to the transform tab and hit split. What is the splitting element? It is the surface. What side do you want to keep? For example, if I had picked the arrow, it would keep the top portion. Alright, so this is a great way to make a positive negative part. I will double click the split and invert the arrow again. Select OK. Because that surface split all the way through, I have no problem splitting that solid. I can hide that top surface so I can see the part itself. Okay, now it's time to create the pocket. So you're going to do one demo with the pad and split command. Okay, one demo with the pad split command, and then I'm going to challenge you to try and do it without the split, and I'll demo that later. Right now what I want to do is go back to plane and create a plane parallel from this one. I'll go, no, sorry, I want to go from the XY plane. Let's go 6 inches. Oh, that's pretty far above it, isn't it? How about we try 4? Let's hit the down arrow. I'll try 5 first. Actually, 5 looks good on mine, so I'll say OK. Again, on your model, that might vary. Let's pop into the ISO view real quick, just to get my orientation. I'll pop in the front view just to see, make sure that plane is indeed above the part, which it is. Back to the ISO view. On this plane, we're going to create a sketch. I'll go normal to the view, and I'll just create another rectangle. Well, it looks like I'm going to get pretty big on this rectangle. It's okay. Exit out. Back to my ISO view. And let's put the pad command. No, not pad. We're going to do a pocket. We're going to do a pocket. And the trick was not to use dimension, but up to last. If you go up to last and hit preview, what it's going to do is it's going to cut right through the part. So I want to maintain a 1/2 inch from the bottom. So you might think, well, I'll just type in a 1/2 inch then. When I hit preview, what's going on is it's actually going a 1/2 inch through the part. So what you want to do is add a negative 1/2 inch, and it'll go to the bottom minus a 1/2 inch from the bottom. It'll back it off a 1/2 inch. I'll select OK. I'm going to open up my solid construction plane. And plane number 1, as you recall, was the bottom of the part that I used. And because I created my sketch on that plane, if I type in 1 and hit enter, it moves that up an inch. And you notice that the bottom stayed a 1/2 inch. The bottom of the pocket stayed a 1/2 inch from the bottom of the part. If I double click plane 1 and I hit the reverse direction, hit OK, you might wonder, why does this surface, why did it suddenly get flat there? What happened? Does anyone know? Do you know why that did that? If I select pad number 1, we moved it down an inch, and I only went 5 inches tall. So if I change that to 6 inches and hit OK, now the solid goes all the way back through that surface. Okay, so again, if I show you the surface, here's your surface. If I were to take plane number 1 and move it another inch, see, it went down 2 inches, but the pad itself is only 6 inches tall and it's not tall enough to cut through that surface. So now I got to change that to a 7. Okay, well, that seemed to work okay. So far, we're pretty good. There's only one issue. Why does that keep happening to me? What can I do so that doesn't happen, where it keeps the part's not long enough? In fact, what if I were to go to this top surface sketch, and I'll just flatten that to the screen. I gotta take it out of hide so we can see it. If I were to grab this sketch here and move it up, what's gonna happen? Well, I guess I didn't move it up far enough. Okay, so let's go back to that sketch. And if I were to move that sketch up even higher and exit out, look, it's barely even crossing through the solid. So what step did I miss? Was it the split command? Is there something I should have done different in the split? Is it the pad command? Should I have done something different in the pad command? Instead of up to the first limit being up to dimension, we want to go up to surface and pick that surface there. Okay, so I think I was thinking I want to show you something different. The pocket command. In the pocket command, since I use split, in the pocket command, you notice that, let's see, if I go second limit, is up to surface and grab that surface and select OK. That's going to be a different scenario, okay? Hold on to that thought. I'm going to hit undo. So pocket command is still controlled by, oh, I thought I hit undo. Pocket command is still controlled by dimension. Okay, so I'm going to change pad 1 here. The first limit is going to go up to surface. And I'll pick that surface and select OK. So no matter where that surface goes, no matter where this surface goes, that top of the solid is going to go there too. So I've got the solid linked to this plane. The bottom of that solid is linked to that plane. And the top of the solid is linked to this extruded surface. Now you got to be careful when you're moving that around. If I were to go to sketch 1 and I got careless and I moved this up, but I also kind of went at an angle this way, and I exit out, it's going to say, uh-oh, you got an error, man. And what's going on is that solid is no longer crossing through that surface because I'd moved that surface over too far to the left. So when I go to the sketch, now it's going to be hard to see, but I know I got to move it back to the right. Exit out. See, I could have moved over a little bit more to the right, but that's good enough for what we're doing. You just got to make sure that the surface is going all the way through the solid. Okay, so earlier I was talking about the pocket. If I were to take this sketch and go straight up here, you'll notice that the solid follows the surface fine, but what happened to the pocket? Why is this pocket somehow magically stuck inside this like a hollow cube in the middle of it? What happened? What did we do wrong? Let's hide the top surface. Remember, when you're doing your second feature, once you've created a pad, you create your second feature, we controlled up to last so it would link to the bottom of the part minus a ½ inch. But on the second limit, we never controlled anything. We want the second limit to always be on top of the surface. So I'm going to say up to surface, and I'm going to grab this surface that's the top contour of the part. When I select OK, no matter what I do to that surface, and no matter how high I go up, I got to pull it back out of hide so I can see it. No matter how far up I come, it's going to know to create that pocket. Even though that pocket was created on this plane, which really isn't linked to anything. Okay, so that pocket wants to be on top of that surface because I've linked it as the second limit to the top of the surface. So now, anything you do to that part will automatically have links to the tops and the bottom. You'll notice that in the pad I can no longer tell it how long I want it to be because it's under the pad. I want up to surface. Oh, the second limit is going to be on the surface on the plane that we created. Oh no, did I screw that up? The first limit goes to the surface. The second limit is dimension 0, but when I look at the sketch, that there's that little blue thing there letting me know I'm linked to this plane over here. Okay, so I'm not linked to the axis, I'm linked to that plane, and I positioned it over here on this corner. Okay, so again, I'm going to exit out here. If I change plane number 1 to 1 inch, you can probably hardly see that move. Let's go 3 inches, 5 inches, back to 1 inch. You can see that that plane moves and it's linked to that solid. So we want to control our first and second limits. You should always try and be aware of that from now on. Now that we're not rookies in the 185 basic class, we want to make sure we're aware of how modifying a parameter might affect your solid. Okay, I'm going to do the next demo about controlling the top surface. That'll be in the next video.